I had an opportunity of going to Kashmir with His Highness Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj of Kolhapur. He happens to be the 30th descendant of Shivaji Maharaj. So we traveled to Kashmir because we both were guests of the army there, different camps. Initially, we stayed at Ramban and then we stayed at Kupwara also. But we were under total patronage of army because for me, I am giving my free services to the 109 TA Battalion of Kolhapur for last 14 years. And Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, of course, he enjoys the privilege of general. I mean, they look after him like a general. So only two of us were there, and we stayed there for 8 days. Well, that's not the question here. So while coming back, I was traveling in Maharaja's car. We were coming back from Mumbai to Kolhapur, the airport. We are coming back to Kolhapur, and that time uh, the discussion came up. So remember one thing, my dear friends, though Chhatrapati Maharaj is comes from a royalty, he comes from the descendant of Shivaji Maharaj family, but he is a very highly not learned man. I would say he is highly read man. He reads. He is a voracious reader, and he has got great. Of course, he has got a great common sense also, and he can be a very good listener. Plus, he can also keep on discussing things with you, and you would like to. He's always hungry for knowledge. He's a very intelligent man and a very lovable man. So while coming back from Mumbai, the topic came up: Dev or Darwin? Dev or Darwin? Is the theory of God the fact, or is the theory of Darwin the fact? इस पर हमारा डिस्कशन चल रहा था. And then if then it started like this: if God's theory is true, that God has created one man and one woman, then one man, one woman, how come? I mean, they have two children. So does the brother and sister get married, or the father and the daughter gets married, and the son and the mother gets married? How do you produce? So scientifically, it's not possible because it has proved in the Egyptian dynasty where the sister and brother and sister got married and the dynasty failed. I mean, it is just finished. It is extinguished. So because they didn't want their blood to mix somewhere else. So the Adam and Eve theory, they said that this can't be scientific. Well, of course, this was not so short. It came out, it's almost 5 to 6 hours from Mumbai to Kolhapur, and then almost 6 hours and a break in between all that. But this discussion was going on. So ultimately, it was decided or it was concluded that God's theory, where God has made one man and one woman, cannot be true. Then what is the theory? Then if it's Darwin's theory, then Darwin's theory it started with Pisces, that is the fishes. Then it went to the amphibians, that is the frogs, and these are the amphibian creatures. Then it came to the reptiles like lizards, crocodiles, and so on. Then it came to the birds, the Pisces. I mean the birds, and then from birds came the mammals. But the initial was the rat. A rat was an initial mammal which came into existence because there are 75 different species of rats, right from squirrels to mongoose, and the biggest species of rat is boar. I mean, pig. Pig is the 75th superior most species of rats. So rats, right from a small rat to all this, everything comes under the rat family. And so this we are discussing, and then the monkeys, and from monkeys the chimpanzees, and the chimpanzees then the human being. So this evolution took place crores of years. It must be lakhs and crores of years, and this evolution took place. So this discussion was going on, and we were approaching Kolhapur. So we were near Kolhapur that time, almost say 30, 40 kilometers from Kolhapur, and Maharaj asked me one question. He said that Why? Why this conversion has stopped? Why this evolution has stopped? There is nothing which you see from one species to another species. This conversion has just stopped. So how can this be true? That if Darwin's theory can be true, why not God's theory is the truth? So then he asked me one more question. He says, what is before man? I said monkeys. What is before monkeys? I said rats. What is before rats? I said birds. What is before birds? I said. Then I explained to him that it is reptiles. Now, what are before reptiles? I said the amphibians. What is before amphibians? I said the fish. Okay, fish च्या अगोदर काय? What is before fish? I said obviously the small protozoas and all that. I said name a few. I said amoeba. I said what is before amoeba? He said what is before amoeba? I said sulfur. He said how sulfur? I said this mass of this mass of fire which was distributed from the sun. One of the third mass from the sun started condensing. It went on condensing, became cooler and cooler. Of course, it took millions of years. It became cooler and cooler and cooler and cooler. So at the both the poles, they started cooling first, and then slowly, then the whole Earth started cooling. And then there was because of water vapor, there was a lot of rainfall, and wherever there was a gap, it filled up. So this is known as ocean, and the land which is we see the land that is what where we live now. One third of the is land, and that's where we live. So that's where the life came up. So then she said, "Well, what is the role of sulfur here?" I said, "Role of sulfur is the that mass of fire is not totally cold; it is still existing." So he said, "Where does it exist?" I said, "The core of the earth. This core of the earth is that mass of fire. It is still very hot. The temperature is beyond 5,000 degrees Celsius. See, remember, my dear friends, the here we have the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, oil boils at 160 degrees Celsius, lead melts at 400 degrees Celsius, gold melts at 600 degrees Celsius, iron melts at 1100 degrees Celsius. So this mass, this is more than 5,000 degrees Celsius. They say it is around 7,500 degrees Celsius. So then what happens? So whenever there is a lot of this smoke or gas which is created, there's a trembling, and then it tries to escape either through the volcanic eruption or by uh, earthquake. Now, wherever there is a hot spring, you must have seen this hot spring even at Vajreshwari near Mumbai or near Sangameshwar, there are hot springs. So this is all these hot springs. They are known as sulfur springs. Now, of course, in Himalayas, it is very common. Himalaya, it is very common hot springs. So here, these hot springs, they are known as sulfur springs. That means the sulfur, it has come in contact with the sulfur, and it is that water is becoming hot. Sometimes it can be beyond 100 degrees Celsius, boiling hot. So some springs in Manikaran near Kulu Valley, in the Parvati Valley actually, there you have the water which is 105 degrees Celsius. It's boiled, you can cook food there. That's not a problem. So this hot springs, and whenever there is a volcanic eruption, the lava which we find, the lava which we find is full of sulfur. So I said this lava which is full of sulfur, this lava is nothing but the same hot ball of fire, that mass of fire which has come from the sun. So he said, you mean that sulfur has come from the sun? I said, yes, sulfur has come from the sun because it is the main element in any of this lava. He said, what is before sun? Sun, where has sun come from? What is before sun? I said, I don't know. He said, Ajnana hai. I said, yes, Ajnana hai. I don't know. I am ignorant of it. He said, Jita Ajnana hai, Jita Deva hai. So that's what his comment was. He says, Jita Ajnana hai, Jita Devai. I said, fine, accepted. So now what I'm trying to tell you is, sulfur is the main element which has come all the way from the sun, and today we are enjoying the benefits of sulfur in the form of homeopathy. In the form of homeopathy. Because sulfur is a king of Sora, and Sora is a king of all miasms. So now you will know how this sulfur has come into being and why it is known as king of Sora. Because it is a main element. All other elements are the secondary elements. Sulfur is the main element which has come all the way from sun, right from Ravi. It has come. It has come all the way from sun, and this particular sulfur is the main element. And there is a saying in Mahabharata. I don't know if you have read Mahabharata, but there is always a saying which goes after Mahabharata. जैसे महाभारत के बाद जो भी होगा वो महाभारत का झूठा है. जैसे महाभारत के बाद जो भी होगा ये महाभारत का झूठा है. यानी कि all events, all type of events, all type of conspiracies, all type of tragedies, all type of technologies were used in Mahabharata. उसके बाद जो भी होगा that will be महाभारत का झूठा. I don't know if mobiles were used in Mahabharata, but anyway, so here यानी कि there are a lot of technology, a lot of conspiracy, a lot of tragedies, a lot of politics which was created in Mahabharata. So that's why they say महाभारत के बाद जो भी होगा महाभारत का झूठा है. मैं महाभारत तो उष्टा से. Similarly, I would talk about, when I talk about sulfur, I always say sulfur. After sulfur, whatever is remaining is sulfur का झूठा है. Sulfur is having 5,500 registered symptoms. Can you imagine? 5,500 registered symptoms. If I have to teach you sulfur symptom by symptom, it will take almost 6 months for me to finish sulfur. So then, but before we go into sulfur, we try to touch the very main features of sulfur. How can you diagnose a sulfur patient? So that's what I'm here for, to provoke your interest in sulfur. Once I provoke interest in sulfur, sulfur has to be studied by you. I'm not going to teach you sulfur, but I'm going to only point out what are the silent features or what are the main characteristics of sulfur. And this is very, very important whenever you talk about sulfur. So sulfur is having 5,500 symptoms, and if you try to repertorize any case on the computer, it might be complete repertory, it might be radar repertory, it can be, I mean, so many packages are there. You try to computerize it on the package, any package. The main remedy normally in the first three, or almost it always the first is sulfur, because it is covering 5,500 symptoms. You name the symptom and it is there in sulfur. You name the symptom, it is there in sulfur. Desire was sweet, there in sulfur. Desire was salt, there in sulfur. You name the symptom and it is there in sulfur. So every symptom is there in sulfur. So how do you differentiate? I don't know when did this Hinduism Hinduism in this part of the country or this part of the world started, because that is again a big question mark. But there is one God which is known as Mahadev or Shankar Bhagwan or Bholenath. There is one God in the Hindus where this Mahadev, if you mark the Mahadev's habits, and we are not talking about any promotion of any religion here, we are talking about the character of Mahadev. We are talking about the character of Mahadev or Shankar Bhagwan. So if you see his location, normally where does he stay? He stays on the mountain top, where probably in Kailash Parvat or probably in Amarnath, or if you come near Kolhapur, it is Jyotiba. So he is always staying on the mountain top, isolated. He doesn't want to mix around with anyone. He is staying alone. He wants to stay alone. Today, of course, the people have flocked around him, but he will be always staying alone. If not the mountain top, he will prefer to stay in the Shamshan Bhumi, wherever there is a graveyard. He will prefer to stay in the graveyard. So here Mahadev, if you see this character of Mahadev, you believe it or not believe, but it is typical, this character you'll always find him either in the Shamshan Bhumi or either in the mountain top. So first, one and fourth, most important is always isolated. Second thing is known as Bholenath. कोई भी इसकी तपस्या करेगा, कोई भी इसको खुश कर देगा, he'll grant a boon. He'll grant a boon, and then they say that once Mahadev grants a boon, then it is the job of Brahma and Vishnu to rectify that. And because of that boon, that man becomes too much uh, headache, becomes a big headache for all the gods because he knows he won't be killed. So he becomes a big headache, and then the boon has to be rectified by Vishnu, Bhagwan, or Brahmaji. So here, what I'm saying is, Mahadev is the Bholenath. He stays alone, he is a Bholenath. See the character. How interesting this character is. Either he'll stay on the mountain top isolated, or either he'll stay in the Shamshan Bhumi. So he doesn't like to stay uh, in the in the thick locality. He is always placed. Normal places are where it in two extremes. Second, you'll never find Mahadev standing. You'll always find him sitting. Most of the images of Mahadev, if you draw it as standing, then it's a different problem. But you'll find he is always sitting in one place. And when in Dhyan, he is always in Dhyan. Dhyan bole to, he is meditating. He is always meditating and sitting alone. You will never find anyone except the Nandi. That is a basic animal, but it is the animal of the farmers. Nandi is the animal of the farmers. If the bulls were not there, we would have never had such a good food around us. So these bulls are the basic animals of the beast of burden. So these are that is his vehicle or that is his companion. Then third thing, if you observe, he'll always be in rags. He'll always be in rags. It will be an animal hide or some rags. You'll never find him in decorative pieces like Vishnu Bhagwan or Brahmaji or Lakshmi or Saraswati. You'll always find him in a rags, simple rags. This is an animal hide. Mostly, it's an animal hide. You'll never find him with jewelry around. What we find with other gods. You'll always find him without jewelry. Kaudeji Mar. Kaudeji Mar, it is basic here. Kaudeji Mar is nothing but Shimpla. It is an oyster or something like that from the sea. So you'll always have Kaudeji Mar around his neck. Then his weapon is also very basic. You won't find any fancy weapons with him. He has got a Trishul. He's got a Trishul. Then another thing, if you see, you will always find him with a Damru. That is a basic instrument. A Damru. Damru is tied with two strings and two stones and a leather on both sides, and then you can play it. The Damru you can play it. So it doesn't need much skill to do it. So all these things are all elementary things which Mahadev is having. One more thing you have to notice in him is, remember my dear friends, he never has a bath. He never has a bath. Because he doesn't have a bath, his hair are matted. His hair are matted. Matted hair. Thick matted hair. Who is very concerned about his hygiene, he'll never have matted hair. It is lack of hygiene where the hair is mat. So matted hair is also one of the points in Mahadev Bhagwan where that means, and वो पूरे body को भस्म लगाता है. Bhasma is ash. He applies ash all over his body. That's why he doesn't feel cold. He is sitting in Kailash Parvat. So called, that's his place, they say. He's sitting in Kailash Parvat, which is almost 22,000 feet above sea level, and he's sitting on the top. So when open, without a blanket or without a jacket or without anything which is covering him, so he is sitting open, and this gentleman Mahadev ji is sitting in open. Plus, though he's sitting in open, he has got a lot of burning around his throat. That's why there's a snake around the throat. A snake is a cold-blooded animal. Snake is a cold-blooded creature. He is always cold to touch. and you'll find a cobra around his neck, so his neck remains cold. He remains cold. Now, if you look at this picture of Mahadev, you'll realize like Mahadev is a god among gods. He is the number one god in the Hindu, as per the Hindu philosophy or Hinduism. He is number one. After him, all these gods have come down. He is number one. He is Mahadev. Similarly, sulfur is a sort of a Mahadev of I mean, is Mahadev of homeopathy, because he is covering all the symptoms what Mahadev has. All the characteristics of Mahadev you find in sulfur. It is all the characteristics. They say he is a ragged philosopher. What is Mahadev? Mahadev is a ragged philosopher. There are another two Maha people whom we have come across. One is Mahatma Gandhi and second is Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. Now Mahatma ka Mahatma. Mahatma Gandhi, you may believe in him or you may not believe in him. You may not be a Gandhi Bhakt also. That doesn't concern me, because as far as the world recognizes him as the man of the millennium, I am very proud that one Indian was recognized as man of the millennium, and the world is not stupid enough to recognize him. We are not the only smart people here, but world has recognized him, and I too recognize him as Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma, I recognize the Mahatma, father of the nation, whatever it is. Now, if you see, he was also in simple rags. He was wearing a pancha, not even a dhoti. He was wearing a small pancha around his waist. Never wore anything on his body. He used to walk with chappals. He used to walk with a stick. That also not decorated stick. And the he was not physically powerful, nor did he have any gun or something, any weapon with him, nor was he expert in this martial arts or fighting arts. No, he had nothing. Yes, he had one thing. He had a courage to go and tell the British officers, what you do, I don't agree with. I, I am protesting against this. You want to beat me? Beat me. My dear, you need a lot of courage. Though you may have strength, like a person like me who thinks that I'm a very strong person. I may think so, it's not so. But if I think I'm a very strong person, someone gives me a slap, I'll give him two back. Because I can't tolerate my ego to be hurt or anyone trying to hurt me. But Mahatma Gandhi said, even if you're strong, his motivation was such, even if you're strong, he hits you, it takes a great courage not to hit back. It takes a great courage not to hit back. And this was his philosophy. This was his philosophy. He says non-cooperation, non-cooperation movement. I remember one of my earlier patients when I started my practice way back in 1987, when I started my homeopathic practice. 86 actually 86 I started my homeopathic practice. I came across a Swatantra Sainik. He was a freedom fighter, and he was telling me about 1942 August Kranti Maidan, what we call the Gowalia Tank Maidan in Mumbai. So they were, Mahatma Gandhi was sitting at the back. He said he had attended that. There were 2 lakh people who were pressing, give us Adesh do, kuch nahi Adesh do. Because the Britishers had promised us that if you give, I'm not going into much history now, but you should know what is a rag philosopher. He said that, Britishers had promised that if you help us in the Second World War with your people and if you join the British Army, if you help us, we will grant you freedom. But well, the Second World War continued and they were not talking about anything in freedom. So the people all over India had gathered at Gowalia Tank and they were pressing to the podium. Podium is the stage. And one podium, one person, one side was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the other side was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. They were trying to pacify the crowd. The crowd was getting violent. They were trying to pacify the crowd. Chup ho jao, shant ho jao, क्या कर रहे हो, अरे आदेश आने वाला है। महात्मा गांधी पीछे बाजू ऐसे बैठे थे, and then the whole crowd was pressing on the podium, and the people thought that the stadium or the stage may collapse because they wanted आदेश, कुछ भी आदेश दो। They said आदेश दो हमको, we can't just sit quiet and see things happening. And then he said that they were quite confused. They didn't know what to do. That time Mahatma Gandhi was sitting at the back, and both these two fiery speakers, one Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, they were trying to pacify the crowd. Mahatma Gandhi raised his hands. The moment he raised his hand, there was a sweep, there's a wave which just went over 2 lakh people, and they just kept quiet. They just kept quiet. Pin drop silence. Then Mahatma Gandhi was going to speak. He was a man of very few words. He used to speak only for few minutes, 2-3 minutes. He was not a speaker. He didn't speak for hours together, not like me. He went to the stage, got hold of the mic, and he said, "Karenge ya marenge, quit India." एक ही आदेश दे दिया, करेंगे या मरेंगे, do or die, quit India. That's it. वो आदेश मिल गया, and people just dispense from there. One आदेश of महात्मा गांधी. तो ये वही बोल रहा हूँ, ये जो महात्मा लोग हैं, they are extraordinary people. They have got some godly given powers with them, and they can really rule the economy. I mean the public. Now I'm opening up the windows because we have to continue sulfur for I think another 1 or 2 days, and we go to sulfur again. So till then you can ask me some questions if you have. Any questions?
Sir, yeah, sir, we want more lights for the sulfur mind, sulfur behavior, mentally.
Yes, I'm coming to that. I'm just trying to explain you how you look at the sulfur person in the society. You, Dr. Sonal, if you see,
yes, sir,
what type of people you're going to find in the society. I'm trying to explain
because
that.
Okay, sir.
I'm coming to the mind. I'll certainly come to the mind. Yes, I'll come to all the details of sulfur. But of course, if I go through total detail of sulfur, it takes me 6 months. And we don't have
so it's a big
time.
Okay.
आपका सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट प्रोवोक करने का काम मेरा है. एक बार आपको इंटरेस्ट आ गया, then you need sulfur yourself. Why not?
Okay. Okay, sir.
So excellent lecture. आज का लेक्चर बहुत अच्छा है.
अच्छा लगा आपको?
बहुत अच्छा सर, एकदम भूलने लायक ही नहीं है. कितना इजीली याद हो जाएगा सल्फर.
महादेव भगवान याद आ गए आपको?
अगर आप जैसे सर होते तो हम लोग ना जाने कब से अच्छे होम्योपैथ बन जाते. कॉलेज डे में रहते तो आप जैसे सर.
Thanks. That's a compliment, Poonam. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You deserve that, sir.
Thank you.
That is compliment from all of us.
Yes, sir.
So kind of you. Yeah. Trying to make it simple.
Yes.
पूरा सब्जेक्ट सिंपल बना रहा हूँ.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I close it?
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.